Have you ever noticed that Enhypen has a lot of hyphens associated with them? Let's see. Island, the show that formed them, it's a hyphenated name. Their logo, it's a hyphen. Every single one of their title tracks to be released to date are all hyphenated. They seem to be really focused on this idea of a line that connects two unrelated things. This theme is also relevant in their actual story, which features two groups that are historically very opposing, vampires and werewolves, and brings them together with the help of their very own version of the hyphen, Suha. This girl. She's the main character in the Dark Moon story, which I'm thinking will also include the final lineup from the And Audition show, which starts airing in July. They are, after all, the confirmed werewolves in this story, and the current confirmed members were also originally contestants on Island. Plus, it continues the theme of connection, a Korean and Japanese group being connected through story. And then this comeback came. The title track for Enhypen this time around is Future Perfect Pass the Mic. Where's the hyphen? Hello friends and sunflowers, my name is Lena and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Enhypen's newest upcoming album, Manifesto Day 1, and the various concept photos they released. I do want to say that this hyphenless existence is not actually as surprising as it might seem on the surface, especially if you've been following along with the narrative that is being told to us through the albums, lyrically, visually, and, well, even looking at the names. The album is called Manifesto. And the word manifesto is a public declaration of intention, basically a way to announce what you want to do within a particular parameter. For example, in art, they could just put on a show and say the manifesto of this artist to talk about this particular topic. Which brings us to the very interesting subtitle of this album, Day 1. This is interesting mainly because Day 1 is not a new concept for Enhypen. Border Day 1 was literally their debut album, and in fact, the outro to both this album and their Border Day 1 album was called Walk the Line. The difference being that the manifesto version of this is crossed out. Enhypen have previously had a lot of focus on this line, which I actually think is probably the hyphen we've seen so much of. They've walked along it, connected different ideas and experiences. They've crossed the line, which took them from one thing, a human, to another, a vampire. They've shown us different interpretations of this line, including connecting to various media and also the idol industry itself. But there's only so much line walking and crossing that can happen, and the end of their last album spelled out something completely new for the group. Literally. If we consider the line as having multiple meanings, a line can also be what comprises of things that we write. Letters and words are written with many lines. In the web novel for Dark Moon over on Wattpad, they find a story written of them in an alternate universe where they are knights. This is similar to what we've seen in music videos like Fever, and even in the intro video for this album, and also how it's in their dreams, as if those lines on the page created or documented other realities. However, in their outro for Dimension Answer, Outro Day 2, they said, "But I won't let someone else write for me. I'll write what my Day 2 will be, my second day that I must live on my own. This is the real beginning of a world of my own." This, again, potentially ties into what we're seeing in their web novel, but definitely leads into why we're seeing Day 1 here again. I believe this is them writing their own story. With the teaser that dropped today, the day that I'm recording this, we did in fact see that it is part of the Dark Moon story. So I'm really feeling this even more now than I did before. They did away with the hyphen. They've ended the hyphen, because they aren't letting someone else's lines define who they are anymore. With this album, their manifesto, they are declaring that this is their Day 1, and it is without borders. They cross out the idea of walking on the line that's already there, and now they are making their own lines. So yeah, it's not surprising to me that the title track dropped the hyphen. They don't need it anymore. I actually expected this album to start featuring them writing or producing more of the songs, which doesn't seem to really be the case right now, although Jake did help write lyrics in That Feeling When. But I still believe that's something that's coming. You know, assuming that Manifesto is a series of some sort like the Border and Dimension albums were. I still think that they'll have some sort of songwriting or production credits in the future because of this theme. I think a lot of this album's track names support this idea of them rewriting the story too, though once the tracks actually come out, I'll have to look at it again. Paradox Invasion? It sounds like they're creating paradoxes while they rewrite the rules. Shout Out? They're sharing their truth. That feeling when? Honestly, I'm not sure, but I'll get back to you when we have the official lyrics. Also, Foreshadow as their outro track makes me want to hear all of it so much more. Can you tell that I'm excited about this? Anyways, if you're still here, thanks for sticking around. We are going to go through the concepts together right now. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already so that it can help reach other people. Okay, let's take a look at these now. There are 3 versions of the Manifesto Day 1 album. D, J, and M. This goes with the "don't judge me" that has been in a lot of the advertising, but there's also a word and kind of sentence featured on each of the album covers that is associated with them too. D is district, such as "come into our district." J is junction, "let's go and meet at the junction." Also, and voice up for some reason. M is me, "now I can hear me." Or "can't judge me." The sentences are a little bit up for debate, so if you think I've gotten any of those wrong, please let me know what you think it might say instead. There's also a lot of recurring imagery here on the covers that are in some of the concepts as well. The idea of like text fonts changing to be symbols, for example. It matches what we saw of the Paradox title. It's all magnified again with a microphone, telling us that this is going to be their voices and they want to amplify their story. Or they want to cover up the lines, smear them, since it's going to be their own way now. Let's look at each of these albums individually now. The D version. The district version seems to go a lot with that breaking out and being different vibe. We see a lot of graffiti here, which is often associated with people sharing their truth and, well, deviancy, I guess? Same with the almost garage band and riot-like imagery, who are also seen as deviants because of their political stances and messaging. Don't Judge Me is shown here, which is very angsty teen and fits with the concept. It's supported with the sort of garage hangout theme, except they're on the inside of a semi-truck instead of a garage. We see a lot of those X's again, like they're maybe rejecting the norm or crossing into their own way, etc., etc. There's probably multiple ways that you can interpret that. A lot of the other text that's visible in these show up a little bit in some of the other concepts, but the most common ones that I want to point out are real getting crossed off, rule breaker, which seems to go in line with their whole protest thing, and manifesto, obviously, since, album title. I think one of the most notable things about the photos in this album are specifically with Jae and Sunghoon. They have tooth gems, which are gems right over the canines, because that's where the vampire teeth grow, but also it's just common that celebrities will get those to signify their success. This whole trend seems to be a more subtle take on the grills that were popular in the 90s, so I guess in this sense they're sort of showing and talking a little bit more about their success or something like that. I think this goes along with the editing of the photos in general, actually, which emphasize basically anything that shines and looks expensive, so rings and earrings are refracting light and stand out a lot. It makes me think of like a grungier version of their kind of fancy styles that they've highlighted in the past because of this. What message do you think they're portraying here, since it seems almost opposite to me? But let me know what you think. The J version. The J version is all about the voice they're amplifying. Judge, junction, many things meeting all at once, a place where you have many different directions at play. One of the first images they showed for this version was a ton of microphones. Like, the press are waiting for the interview with the boys, which we later are shown with them in place. Live streams are also a huge focus here. There's a setup with a phone, with computers, all with the idea of connecting, like a junction, and amplifying their words and image. A lot of the comments that are displayed on the live stream also have to do with connection and people excited to connect with them. This is really funny to me because they just got rid of the hyphen, which famously connects different ideas together, but I guess this is now their own way of connecting with us, through their own words with the images that they want to share. For some of the other photos, I don't really know why they have like a convenience store kind of background, but let me know what you think about that. Like, is the convenience store like a junction where all different sorts of people meet, maybe? I don't know. In the video, they're all doing different things in different places for the most part, but the live stream aspect especially connects them all. I think it's supposed to show like their personality a bit, you know, the things they like doing. Escalators also show up, which is also in their album preview, by the way, with like many escalators there, and they're like a way to connect to different floors, right? An escalator takes you from down or up and down, and just the idea of that kind of makes me think of that one art piece called Relativity, with like all the stairs going in different directions. Now, I'm not sure, maybe that's just a coincidence, but gravity is all mixed up in that photo, and they do seem to be doing a lot of changing expectation type things here, which could also be an interpretation of what the painting depicts, but I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. The M version. Okay, finally, we are at the M version. This version is really impactful in concept, I feel. The main group photo they dropped of this concept featured a group of photos that kind of looked like class photos or maybe employee photos, and besides the members themselves, again, they've crossed everyone out and smeared their faces. Same thing like what they did with the lines. Now, we actually saw these figures in the D version video as well. They were just a mass of people in that one, although there is a photo with Jake that mirrors the scene we got there. Here, these people accomplish basically the same thing, except the focus is on the boys being amongst them, but doing things differently. I think they're supposed to represent society and societal expectations. This again goes hand in hand with the idea of erasing the hyphen, changing the status quo and doing things different from how they've always done them, or what was written and expected for them. They don't want to just be a part of the crowd. They want to stand out. And of course, this makes me think of their song, Shout Out, on their album. Again, just makes a lot of sense with that whole theme. Keeping in mind that I have not seen the lyrics yet, though, so maybe, I don't know, man. Things sometimes change. By the way, I especially love the shots where everyone else is in fast motion around them, like they're in a rush to go nowhere, while the boys are standing still looking at us. They're out of rhythm from the others, but that's totally fine because they're being themselves. Now, in this particular concept, there's actually a lot of intriguing shots here, although I will say that Nikki's kind of caught my eye. The people around him seem to be doing things a little differently from in everyone else's versions. In fact, one is even sitting on top of the block the same way that Jungwon is in his shots. For everyone else, they seem to all be kind of in a formation or just being part of a regular crowd. But I felt the need to mention this because, like I said, that one person sitting on top of the thing is just really jarring to me. It feels intentional that it's supposed to catch your eye, that they're being different and weird. We know from previous music videos that Nikki has behaved kind of suspiciously, especially in Fever and Tamed Dashed, so I wonder if this ties into that or if it's just a coincidence. Let me know what you think. However, it does seem that nothing that they're actually doing is affecting what these sort of blob people are doing, interestingly. And in several cases, the other people actually aren't moving at all. It's like they're frozen in place. Oh, and in the video for this too, notably, the word paradox shows up, which happens to tie in with one of their songs, Paradox Invasion. So I wonder if this idea of different from their expectations thing will sort of tie into that song, or if this concept of these like faceless people has something to do with Paradox Invasion? I don't know. Finally, everyone here has their own thing that they're doing. Jungwon is filming, for example, as I mentioned, and Sunghoon has a scooter. It isn't exactly the same, but it does make me think of the Charybdis version of the Dimension Dilemma album, where they each had their own hobbies. It doesn't seem related to that, but since they're all pretty different, I thought I would mention it. Anyways, that's actually all I've got. The music video will be coming out in like, I don't know, like a day or two from when this video goes up probably, so let's get excited for that. And yeah, if that's kind of all I have for you today. Let me know what your theories are in the description and if you're excited about any of this. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on so that YouTube tells you every single time that I post a video. All of my social media is in the description, including my Patreon, which I would like to give a shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you would like to become a patron, the link is in the description and probably on the screen here somewhere. And of course, as it is, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay sunny, everyone. Bye!